We're going to get started. We had some technical difficulties. I can't pull up my monitor here, but we'll get that fixed. And we were supposed to have a guest speaker. Unfortunately, we have to together. But I'm Dr. Holler. I'm the chair of the Department of Behavioral and Social Sciences, which includes the Bachelor of Science program in Psychology and the Bachelor of Arts program in Sociology. So I'm the chair of your departments. If you have issues you need to discuss regarding your classes, faculty, your advisors, I'm the person that you come see. I can help direct you and help you get some answers to your questions and some solutions to your problems. My office is in the Lemoran Nursing Building. Everybody know where that is? It's on the other side of campus. It's on the other side of International, across the street. So if you know where the U-Haul is, or if you know where the PAC, Performing Arts Center, or if you know where the bookstore is, we're across the street from the bookstore on the other side of International. And you could ask Ms. Baldwin, who's the secretary at the front desk, where's Dr. Holler, and she'll direct you to my office. It's upstairs on the second floor, room 205. I'm often in my office, but I'm also often not in my office. It just depends on the day. I'm either in that building or on this side of campus in Harrison Road, because we are part of the College of Liberal Arts. Okay? All right, so for today, what I wanted to discuss, and I might have to stay a little bit closer to the microphone. Can you all hear me? Yes. Okay. What I want to discuss, this is our first professional seminar as a department. So you should be in here if you're psychology majors, and some of the sociology majors were supposed to be here. They'll be sitting in with us probably once a month, but they might be doing their own groups at times for professional seminar for things that the faculty in the sociology program want to specifically discuss with those students. That being said, if you are trying to major in sociology and psychology to become a sociologist, a psychologist, a social worker, then you will benefit as well from these professional seminars. I have guest speakers coming to talk to you about the profession, what you can do with your degrees, with the bachelor's degree, with the master's degree. I have people coming from the Department of Children and Families. That's the state agency in Florida that's responsible for individuals that have mental health issues and individuals that are wards of the state, people who are in foster care, people who basically are dependent upon the state to take care of their needs, and who have case managers, social workers, psychologists, mental health therapists, counselors, child protective investigators coming to see them and provide services for mental health and well-being. Okay? I'm going to just tell you a little bit about kind of my background and kind of my track of how I got to this point, because I know you guys have a lot of questions at times, and when you're in class you can't really talk to your professors. You can't really talk to them about their life story, how did they become what they are today, because you have so little time, and you have to do all of that time focused on studying and learning the lessons so that you can pass your classes with the A's and B's and move on. Right? For those of you who are in psychology and sociology, the goal is for you to go to graduate school. We're trying to prepare you all to go to graduate school and at least get a master's degree. As you know, today it's almost expected for people to go to college. A lot of people go to college and they don't know why they're going to college. It's just kind of the next thing that you do. So there are a lot of people out there now with bachelor's degrees, and you want to make yourself a little more competitive, so you want to take it to the next level and go for your master's or your doctorate. But people that have master's and doctorate degrees have to understand and do research to get those degrees. So all of you will have in your senior year a senior thesis where you'll conduct research and you'll present that research to your peers and you'll be evaluated by your faculty members, just like you would do at the master's level in graduate school. So this is going to give you experience in an area that many other people who start graduate school don't have. I know when I started graduate school, I didn't have to do a senior thesis as an undergraduate. You'll also have a field experience. The field experience is to get you some work experience. So everybody has this idea, right, that you're coming to college to get your degree to do what? What do you want to do when you get your degree? You just want to sit with your degree and say, I have a degree. What are you trying to get? You're trying to get jobs. You're trying to become a professional. Right? So, people often think or have this misconception that, oh, I just go to college. If I go to college and get an education, I get a job. That's not how it works. Really, what goes on with a college degree is going to tell your employer the minimum salary that they have to pay you based on your expertise and your experience. But it doesn't guarantee you a job. When you apply for jobs after undergraduate, when you have a bachelor's degree, they're going to say, great, you have a bachelor's degree, that looks good. What kind of work experience do you have? And oftentimes people say, what do you mean? I've been in college for 4 years. I don't have any work experience. They'll say, okay, thank you, and your name will probably go to the bottom of the list compared to someone that has a degree and some work experience. And so built into your program is the field experience. That is to give you the work experience that you're going to need. Okay? So in psychology, in the psychology program, we have a lot of clinical settings that we like for students to go to. so they can shadow people who are professionals in the field, and you can pick up some skills that you're going to need. Whether you're interning or volunteering, it's work experience. If you volunteer, that's still work. And you're going to create a portfolio that you can therefore use to demonstrate that you have work experience when you go on the job market. So you'll be better prepared than most, at least better prepared than I was when I was at your stage in development. Okay? So, my expertise are in clinical psychology. Anybody know what clinical psychology is? Anyone want to be a clinical psychologist? One person, two, three, few people. Probably after I tell you a little bit more about it, then you'll understand, and maybe more of you will find out that's your area that you want. So for clinical psychology, we work with people who have severe mental illness. Okay? So anyone ever heard of schizophrenia? What's schizophrenia? Deals with the mind in the back. What's your name?
Jahan.
Jahan? Nice to meet you. What's schizophrenia to you?
That's where people have multiple personalities.
Well, people have multiple personalities. Okay. So we call that today dissociative identity disorder, right? Where people think that they are other people. Sometimes people with schizophrenia have those types of delusions. So one thing that people with schizophrenia have are delusions.
I was going to say hallucination.
Hallucinations, those are different from delusions. So a delusion is a distorted way of thinking. Like if you're obsessed with Beyonce, you think that Beyonce wants you and she's going to leave Jay-Z for you. You keep telling people that, man, I'm telling you, I talk to her on Facebook, she inboxing. You might be a little delusional. Right? But with someone with severe mental illness, it's a little more serious than that because it impairs their ability to function, to hold a job in society. That's why you often see people with mental illness that are homeless. Right? Hallucinations are different. What are hallucinations?
When you see
See things that aren't there. Go ahead. See things that aren't there. Right? So, just seeing things. What else? You see things that aren't really there that other people can't see.
You can also hear things that aren't there.
You can hear things that aren't there. What else?
Also,
Say that again.
I do believe that somebody's out trying to kill you.
Beliefs that people are out trying to kill you, those are delusions. So delusions are distorted beliefs. But yes, hallucinations have to do with your perceptions. Very good. He said you can feel things. What's your name? Lloyd. You can feel things. So those are called somatic hallucinations. You feel people touching you, no one's touching you. You feel people hitting you in the head. You feel like you're on fire. Okay? So hearing things, seeing things, and sensing things that are not really there occurring to you. Those are hallucinations. Okay? So I work with people that have serious mental illness like schizophrenia, chronic depression or major depression, people who are suicidal, who are trying to take their own life, people who are self-injurious, they cut on themselves. They're not suicidal, but that's the way that they cope with their pain. So I work with people that have serious emotional distress and cognitive distortions. Okay? For about maybe 7 years, I worked at Florida State Psychiatric Hospital doing forensic psychology. Anybody want to do forensic work? See CSI and things like that? So for forensics, you probably want to get a degree in clinical psychology. Okay? That's where you work with the legal system and you assess people and treat people who have serious mental illnesses and have committed crimes, like felony crimes, like murder, serious or multiple batteries. Sometimes you have people that have a lot of drug charges too, but mostly it's for people who have hurt somebody or themselves. Forensic psychology. Anytime you see forensics, it has to do with crime in the legal system. So if you're going to be an expert witness and testify in court, what you see on TV, those are forensic psychologists, right? And sometimes you might see in the court, if you watch TV, somebody pleads not guilty by reason of insanity. I was crazy when I did what I did. Don't send me to jail. They go to a hospital. It doesn't really work that way. They do go to a hospital, but they don't just get to go home after they've been treated in the hospital for a year. Typically, these are long-term commitments, and they have to prove that they're no longer a danger to themselves or others or they can be discharged. When they're discharged to a lower supervised setting until one day eventually, if they do really well, they'll be able to live on their own again and have an apartment, but they'll still have to go to treatment for the rest of their life. They'll be on what's called a conditional release plan. It's like probation for life for mental health issues. Okay? So that's one area that you can work in with a clinical psychology degree. Most people that get the PhD in clinical psychology, or many people rather, do a lot of research, a lot of reading, a lot of writing. And of course that's what you all like to do because you're in college, and that's all you do in college. Yes, you have other activities, but to get your degree is reading and writing, whether it's history, whether it's a science class, or a math class. You're reading and writing. So if you don't like to read and write, you're going to have a lot of trouble getting through college. Right? I have people that come to my office periodically and they tell me things like that. I don't like to read and write or do research. But they want to be a supervisor when they graduate. They don't want to just... I'm like, how are you going to be a supervisor if you don't know how to read and write the work that you're supervising? You're just going to be signing off on things and you're going to get in a lot of legal trouble. Okay? Because you'll be held accountable. So that's one area, forensic psychology. Working as a professor at a university, that's another area when you have a PhD, philosophical degree. Right? So what does that mean if somebody goes all the way and they get their PhD or their doctorate? Philosophical degree. Right? That means that you are the people that create knowledge. You'll be the people out there doing the research, writing it up and publishing it, and it'll end up in a textbook one day. Or you'll be writing textbooks that future college students will read. So you create knowledge. Right? Some of the other areas, you could work with children. You could be a child psychologist. Anybody want to work with children and families? Child psychology, right? Another domain where you can work a lot with children would be school psychology. And Dr. Payton is one of our professors here. His expertise is in school psychology. So for school psychology, Dr. Payton, what kind of things do school psychologists do?
Biggest thing for school psychologists is testing. All right, so in some of your courses you learn about the Wechsler, which is the IQ test. And so typically if you get into certain programs with gifted or exceptionalities, you have to learn how to administer and interpret the test. So as Dr. Holler is mentioning, if you don't like reading and writing, you're going to have all kinds of problems because one of the biggest things for school psychologists is reports and communicating to a team of people responsible for various people in the schools. So again, you can get a school psychologist degree. You don't have to go and get a terminal degree, but it's an EDS, which allows you to work in schools, administer tests, make recommendations. Out of that, you can also do private practice. So one of the great things about school psychology is that you have a great base of students to work with, also make some extra money on the side. So it's approximately a 3-year degree beyond your bachelor's. And one of the best programs in the state is at the University of South Florida. A lot of our students do go there. Many of you very well too. Again, pay is good, right? Because you're a specialist. Probably start off around $75,000, $80,000, 3-year program. And again, on the side, you can do private practice.
Very good. So, school psychologists, if you want to work with children who have learning disabilities, autism, ADHD, if you want to assess a person's intelligence, IQ, their cognitive development, learning styles, that's what school psychologists do. How many people like to help people? Like to help. See, that's what most people in psychology like to do. They want to help people. Right? So who wants to be like a counselor and do therapy with people? Sit one-on-one with groups, help them solve their problems, right? So we have a counseling program here at Bethune. We have a master's level counseling program where you will learn the art of being a counselor, being a therapist. You can get your master's degree in that. It's interesting. In order to be able to help people, though, some people may think, well, I don't know if I could do therapy with someone. I don't have children, so I'm going to talk to people about raising their children. I'm not married, so I'm going to talk about someone's divorce. But that's why these things that we're learning are based on science, on the scientific method, and on research that people have studied and written about for years. And they create manuals and guides that experts in the field can read and understand and deliver treatment that's effective and efficient. Okay. So you'll be taking courses, if you haven't already, for the upperclassmen that are here. You'll be taking courses to learn research methods. How do you research? How do you, find valid sources of information? Because nowadays they have a lot of fake news, right? We hear about. They have a lot of misinformation on the internet. You can go to anybody's website. Anybody can create a web page and put information up. It can look professional, and you would never know. And if you're getting your information from that site or somebody's blog, you don't know if it's been verified by people in the field who are professionals. Well, that's why in our field we get our information from research journals. These are documents that other professionals have written and a group of other professionals have reviewed and made suggestions on editing. And they don't publish it unless it passes their critical review. Okay? And if the information is along the lines of what the previous research is showing, right? It's going to be based on a literature review. So, in order to get to those points, though, you have to do a lot of reading and writing, right? So you're going to have to come to class on time. You're going to have to pay attention. You're going to have to be engaged. If you sit way back in the classroom, it's almost like you're not here. It's like you're at home watching television and everybody else is interacting. If you're sitting in the front, it's easier to interact. Your professor will know who you are and recognize your face. And you don't get anxious asking questions because you don't see all these other people in the classroom. All you see is yourself and the professor. So it's like a little one-on-one that you're talking. If you're sitting in the back, you see everybody else. You see them talking, you see them on their phones, you see them laughing. So that creates anxiety and keeps you from talking and participating. In order to learn the information and retain it, you have to engage with the information. You have to interact in your classes. The more you interact in your classes, probably the less studying you'll have to do because it'll already be getting into your long-term memory. All right? We also have a new instructor, Dr. Wayne Shepard. Dr. Shepard has a degree in business psychology, industrial organizational psych. Anybody interested in business psychology? We have one. I know we have a lot of people. Usually the upperclassmen, by the time they're juniors and seniors, they're talking about business psychology, sports psychology. Dr. Shepard, you want to tell us about IO psychology?
We study the workplace pretty much in a nutshell. We look at job satisfaction, we look at safety, we look at motivation, things like that. Most of our research is done within the workplace. Productivity is one of the big things that we deal with. We deal with the motivation level on the job as far as what motivates a worker, because we know a motivated worker is a much more productive worker. We also focus on retention, what keeps an employee at that job, what runs them away, as well as recruitment aspects of it. How you onboard an employee is important. If you bring an employee on board and they experience a lot of negativity coming on board, what is the likelihood of that affecting their desire to stay with you? So it is all about the psychology of the workplace, dealing with bullying, things of that nature. Companies, we do a lot of consulting. A lot of companies will use you for consulting, and also gives you an opportunity to kind of start your own side business, doing consulting. But a great number of us are in universities teaching, because although it is not a necessarily new field, it is a field that's just kind of beginning to gain momentum and get on the rise. The Department of Labor and Statistics says that on up into 2022, they expect the growth in that area, in the area of psychology, industrial organizational psychology.
Okay, so those are the people that make big money. They work for, these Fortune 500 companies, and they help design ways to help the company run more efficiently, to keep the employees happy, and keep them coming into work. I know one idea that was created by business psychologists or IO psychologists was the idea of creating daycare centers in the lobby of corporate offices so that women who have children can come back to work earlier. That increases the bottom line, the productivity of the company. It generates more profit for them when their employees are back at work. So, another thing I just wanted to touch on. You all went to professional seminar in the chapel last week, and they gave you tickets, right? And you didn't turn your ticket in until at the end when you left, correct? So that's how professional seminar works. Your grade is based off of attendance. So I don't typically pass attendance out in the beginning because people assign attendance and just walk out of class, right? So you'll assign attendance at about 30 minutes or so before class ends. I'll start passing it around so that you can sign. Okay, this class is a benefit to you. It's to help you network. We'll be inviting guest speakers, people who work in the field, who work at Department of Juvenile Justice, Department of Children and Families, and other state agencies, who are going to be people that you might want to network with about internships or about jobs in the future. So we're not here to test you, give you quizzes. It's for you to, again, be able to engage with your faculty and your advisors outside of a regular classroom setting, and for you to learn about your field so you can start thinking about what you want to specialize in, what kind of jobs you want to get, and how do you get a job. Okay? There's no class that we have called Careers in Psychology on how to get a job, or Careers in Sociology on how to get a job, but that's what this is for. Okay? I didn't have professional seminars in undergrad to teach me those things. And I just went straight all the way through, and I just happened to be fortunate, to get internships and to go from there into the workforce. Okay? But oftentimes people don't go straight into graduate school after undergrad. Most times they want to get a job and work. Okay? And then maybe they'll go back. All right. So, like I said, we'll be having sociologists, the sociology program. Their students will be coming here from time to time. And we have our guest lecturer who we are hoping will be onboarded soon and will be taking over. She's teaching about 4 classes, or guest lecturing about 4 classes. Dr. Sarah Hoskin, and she has a PhD in sociology. Dr. Hoskin, you want to tell us a little bit about what sociologists can do, or?
Sure. Well, aside from what Dr. Holler said, and he sold psychology really well, now I know why sociology has far fewer students than psychology. So on the flip side of psychology, we look at how social group interactions, kind of one of the long-standing arguments of nature versus nurture. So we look at how the environment affects our behaviors, how we interact in groups, how your neighborhood affects you, how your family raises you, how experiences throughout your life shape you to be the person that you are and shape you to interact with people the way that you do. So we often look at, opinion polls often, and then we look at certain characteristics of why certain groups of people have these kind of attitudes. Or, going back to some of you guys talked about forensic psychology, crime, I know criminal justice is another large field. But we also then look at what in your environment shapes you to be a criminal, or shapes you to be a victim of crime. The flip side of being a criminal, how can we reduce victimology or victimization? So we look at all those kinds of things, again, mostly group behavior. But group behavior can go anywhere from 2 people, a dyad, to this class, to religions, to countries, cultures. So it's very vast, just like many social sciences or behavioral sciences. Sociology is so vast in what we can look at, but that's not the problem. The problem is narrowing down what you want to look at. But aside from being a professor, you know, a lot of these social sciences and behavioral sciences, like Dr. Holler said, any more bachelor's doesn't give you that edge. There's so many people with that degree. And I, as a sociologist, I thought I was going to graduate with my bachelor's and I was going to get all these cool jobs. You know, because I remember when I was in school, I went to UCF, and they gave us this printout about these jobs you can get with a bachelor's of sociology. They sold me real good. But they never told me, you know, those are jobs somebody gets, but the likelihood is much narrower. And so it wasn't until a student, I was about to graduate as a senior, and another student asked me, what are you going to do with your sociology degree? And I was like, well, I'm going to go find a job, of course. She's like, oh, well, I'm going to grad school. I was like, oh, maybe I need to consider this. And that was what set me into the spiral of going to grad school. You know, so grad school is important for psychologists, sociologists, criminal justice, because a bachelor's isn't you know, it's not enough. I mean, everybody has it, you know, in a way. Maybe not in those degrees, but a lot of people have bachelor's. Business management is another one of those big areas with bachelor's. But everybody has it. What makes you special? And so a master's can do that. Job experience can do that, as Dr. Holler said. But aside from teaching, a lot of sociologists go into grad school for social work. You know, sociologists we don't get certificates in counseling or anything as a master's or something, so you have to go specifically for that after sociology. I know of some friends, you know, law enforcement, they go into law enforcement after sociology. I have a friend that works for Ohio State federal parole officer, so he goes all around the country and works in the court system. Another friend of mine, sociology. So I don't want to make it sound like bachelor's degrees, they're not there, but you have to search a lot harder. So keep your opportunities open on grad school. I believe in it. I think it's a great opportunity, and you guys are still so young, so it's not over yet. But that's what we do at Sociology. So hello, welcome, and thank you guys for inviting me. Thank you.
Okay. So what are I want to know, what are some of the things that you'd like to do in this professional seminar? This seminar is for you. I have some ideas of things that we'll do. We're going to have some guest speakers come and speak to us, but I want to hear from you all. What are some things that you want to learn about?
Like, well, I want my major is sociology.
Okay, what's your name?
Michael.
Raquel? Michael.
Yes, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I want to know about like what type of jobs I can get as a sociologist and what I will have to do to
Okay.
get that job that I want.
So the types of jobs in sociology, the different careers, and what you have to do to prepare yourself to get one. Very good. Who else? Let's see, over here. What's your name?
Caitlin,
Caitlin.
just how you was telling us like the different, like how you broke down all of the different like categories of psychology. Like I just want to like learn all of them. Well, not all of them, but like like a big variety of them, and like like go deep into it, so I can actually like learn what I want to do. Because I know that I want to be a psychologist, but I don't know like in what field.
Right. Okay. So what are the different branches of psychology? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I was going to say, go on trips to actually see people working and they can describe their job. Because I know it may sound good and they graduate and get the job, they're not like it.
Okay, so maybe some trips to see some sites. That might be difficult to do with our class size. That's why we bring people in. But if you have any particular areas, like maybe forensics or someone in corrections or in a school setting, we can probably try to bring someone from one of those settings to see us. What's your name again?
Caleb said.
And yes, what's your name? Jacquel.
Just basically piggyback on what she said, like, just getting more exposure into the specific thing you want to specialize in. So you would like,
saw some other hands. Who did I miss? Yes, what's your name? Jordan? Okay, Jordan.
Speaking from every field,
Ideally, that would be great, right? What field are you particularly interested in, or fields?
like a sexual abuse counselor.
Sexual abuse counselor. We have another student here that's interested in becoming a sex therapist, upperclassman. So sexual abuse counseling, that has to deal more with like trauma you're talking about, like PTSD, trauma, people who've been abused. Yes, that's an area for clinical psychologists. And Tara.
Hi, Dr. Helen. Can we, like, during one of the classes, can we get some assistance on how, like, to look for certain graduate schools and
Very good. So most of you are freshmen, but soon you're going to be looking at what graduate programs you want to get into. So yes, we can definitely do that. And so what I'll say about graduate programs, preparation for graduate school started back on the first day, on the 20th. Even if you're a freshman, you don't have freshman year to party and chill out. You know, then sophomore year I'll come back and I'll start taking, my classes more seriously. If you get a bunch of F's and D's your freshman year, that's going to come back to haunt you when you're trying to apply for graduate school. After you're more mature, you're seniors, and you're ready to go out into the world or go to graduate school, the stuff you did in freshman year will come back to haunt you because that's part of your GPA. You need a high GPA to get into graduate school. You also have to take GRE, the graduate requirement entrance exam. Okay? So it starts from now. Things that you do now will help propel you in the future, or they may limit you. Okay? I saw some more hands. Did I miss anyone? Yes, ma'am.
I know I want to be a psychiatrist, so.
A psychiatrist? Okay. And what's your name? Taylor. So psychiatry, people who are psychiatrists, they don't have PhDs, they have what? No, those are psychologists. A PsyD, this is very good that this came up. So for psychology, you can be you can get a PhD, you can get an EDD, an educational doctorate. You can also get a PsyD, a psychological doctorate. Okay, those are all psychologists, right? But for psychiatry, that's an MD. A psychiatrist is a medical doctor. Okay? So yes, for med school, you can major in psychology and go to med school, but I would also probably minor in biology because you're going to have to take the MCAT. I believe that's what they take. And you'll go to a medical school. And then you'll specialize in psychiatric treatment, prescribing psychotropic medication. So a psychiatrist prescribes psychotropic medication. They probably see their patients maybe 15 minutes. They check for symptoms. Are you still hearing voices, seeing things? Are you having any side effects from the medication? Any shakes? Any trouble breathing, heart problems? Check your labs to make sure that your biology is going well and reacting well with the medication. But they don't typically do therapy or counseling with people. That's what psychologists do. They do the psychotherapy with people. The psychiatrist prescribes the medication, checks on your symptoms, says, I'll see you in 30 days. Okay? And they make a lot of money. They make a lot of money. I think sometimes if I went back, I'd go ahead and be a psychiatrist. I saw a hand. What's your name again?
Juanisia.
Juanisia. Yes.
So you said for psychiatry, you recommend that we minor in biology. I couldn't really hear the why.
If you're majoring in psychology,
like you want to be a psychiatrist, you said.
if you're majoring in psychology and you want to go to med school to be a psychiatrist, then you're going to take the MCAT that's heavy in sciences and biology, anatomy, physiology, and chemistry. And so I would at least minor in biology so that you can get a lot of those extra science courses to prepare you for the MCAT. Or you would major in biology and minor in psychology, either or. Right? Yes, in the back. What's your name?
Janaya.
Janaya.
Yes.
Yes.
I want to be a speech therapist, but I have a major in biology, well, minor in biology.
A speech therapist? I'm not too sure. I think that's more, is that more along educational psychology? She says she wants to be a speech therapist.
Yeah, I mean, any of those degrees will work for you. You just specialize in speech.
When I pass the roll around, please put your name, ID, and whether you're psychology or sociology. So I'm going to take a, is there another question? Yes, ma'am, what's your name? What's your name?
Chloe.
Chloe. Hi, Chloe.
Hi. If you want to be a forensic psychologist, what would you suggest aspiring?
Well, if you wanted to take, because you're going to be working with the criminal justice system, maybe a criminal justice minor. Yes, I see two of you. You go ahead.
Hi, my name's Daphne.
Daphne.
I kind of wanted to dabble in psychology or relationship therapy. So I wanted to know what's a good reason minor. So I was thinking about minoring in sociology.
Right. So we have an actual faculty member that teaches human sexuality, Dr. Cipollone, and I defer you to him or refer you to him and his expertise in that area. I thought he would be here today, but he's not here. But he's in the Lemoran Nursing Building on the 2nd floor. If you send me an email, I can put you in contact with him. Just so you know, my email, you all probably received an email from me, right? It said dress professionally, this is where we're going to be, and it has the schedule of whether we're going to be in here or in the chapel in Whitehall. Okay, good. So my email is holler, HOLLAR, the letter D, @cookman.edu. And over here, yes. I can't, you gotta speak up. I can't hear you.
Is it true that when you become a forensic psychologist that you have to join a police force?
No, you don't join the police force.
You have to go, you don't have to join the FBI or something?
No. You can be a police psychologist, right, and work with police officers, and you can be a police officer who later, goes to school to become a psychologist and maybe be hired by a department. But typically, I work with a police psychologist out of Chicago. She has her own company, and they get a contract from the Chicago Police Department to evaluate their officers. And so that's to keep them from having a conflict of interest, right? So she's going to approve the mental fitness of an officer for duty. So if you're working at the police department and you're an officer, there's a conflict there. So no, you don't have to become a police officer to do that. If you're in the military and you're a psychologist, you do. You become an officer in the military. If you work at a prison, as a prison psychologist at a federal prison, you will be trained as an officer and how to fire a weapon, and you might have to carry a weapon. Which is interesting because that means the people you're there to treat, one day, if they're short-staffed and you're on post at a guard tower, you might have to be the one to pull a trigger if somebody's trying to escape. So yes, at federal prisons, you'll be an officer. At a federal prison, in the military, if you're a psychologist, you'll be an officer. So, is there a question over here? Yes.
Okay, I have a question. My first question, okay, so I asked my second question, is when we went to orientation and we had the meeting for our majors, and there was a lady in there, I think her name was Dr. Van.
Ms. Vance, yes.
Okay, so she has an organization, or I think she's head of it. What is it called?
She is the faculty advisor for the Association of Black Psychologists Student Circle. And so that is a professional organization, ABSI, or Association of Black Psychologists. It's a professional organization, and we have a student chapter here at Bethune. Last year, our students went to a conference in Texas and presented some research, and they also won Chapter of the Year for their work that they've done, putting on conferences here at Bethune and for doing research and traveling abroad to do that. They won Chapter of the Year, and they got a $500 cash prize. So if you're interested in that, you can email me or you can email Mrs. Vance and ask her about how to join.
I remember my second question.
Yes.
Will there be internship opportunities?
During your senior year, you'll have to do an internship, but you can get an internship on your own if you want to, and I recommend you don't wait until senior year to do that. Right, like you can go out in the community and see what internships are available or where you can volunteer at, but it's not a requirement at this stage. During your senior year, it'll be required and you'll get a grade for that. Okay? But you don't have to wait until your senior year to do one if you want to do one on your own. In the back, yes.
Is this just for sociology and psychology?
This professional seminar, yes. So we're supposed to have this first seminar with sociology and psychology, and Dr. Mowat will be doing the professional seminars with sociology majors twice a week. You guys will meet on your own. He was supposed to be here today, but he's not here. So he would have been able to talk more about sociology. I have a PhD in clinical psychology.
No, I'm a political science major. This is your
Okay, so if you maybe you had to do some professional seminars that they weren't offering in your department, and so they may be substituting this for you. So you should speak with your advisor and make sure that you're going to get credit. Okay. So we might have some people from other majors in here who need to make up some of their professional seminars. So it's important that you keep going. So after this professional seminar, you'll sign up again next semester, right? And those of you who are freshmen, you'll sign up sophomore year and continue on. Because when you get ready to graduate, you don't want them to look back and say, hey, you didn't take all of your professional seminars and now you can't graduate. And you're going to have to make them up. Okay? So stay on course with your peers. Keep taking your seminars. If you ever have a question and you're not sure you should take a class, come talk to your department chair. Come talk to me. Go talk to your faculty advisor in your department. Once you reach your junior year, you need to come to your department to get advising. Don't keep going, to the freshman and sophomore advisors. I know you'll build relationships with them and it's easier to talk to them, but part of this matriculating through college is a maturation process. You're going to have to learn to talk to new people and interact with different people. So you're going to have to cut that umbilical cord and branch off and come talk to us as your faculty members, because we'll guide you through the rest of the program. You don't want to get information that may have changed in the program, but you don't know because you're not talking to your faculty advisors. Okay? So during your junior year, you'll have an advisor in the psychology program. During your senior year, I'll be your advisor. But you can always come to me as a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior to talk if you need to. As the chair of your department, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to serve you, the faculty, and administration's needs. So you got to let me know what you need. Okay? All right. Yes, ma'am.
I didn't receive an email, so I want to know if this, do we have to dress up for this class?
It's professional seminar, so we prefer people to dress professional, right? So, kind of like last week in the chapel, the dean mentioned that we should be dressing professionally for professional seminars. So, no sneakers, jeans, shorts. After seminar, if you're done with your classes, you can go back and change. But you should kind of get used to, dressing professionally. You guys want to be professionals, right? Right? Okay. So, part of it is dressing the part as well. So before you guys all start trying to leave, because class is over at what time? 12:30. It's only 12:10. I'm going to show a video about some different careers. And again, I apologize to my sociology majors. I will speak with some of the other faculty to find out about their presence today, because they're the experts in that field and they can talk to you more about that than I can. So I'm going to show a little video about some of the different careers. Make sure you're signing the roll as it's going around. So I'm going to show you all a video about careers in sociology and then one in psychology. So remember, I can see your cell phone lights. They're really bright. You should be paying attention up here.
And welcome to our video channel on jobs and careers. Today, I will be taking you through the career options you can have in sociology. Are men and women different? What are the causes to the roots of social evils? Why is a solution to racism the need of the hour? All these situations count under sociology. However, on a broader stage, sociology deals with the study of human society, their culture, norms, relationships and values on a group level. Sociology is a field of study that aims at providing knowledge about the social order, social disorder, and the social changes existing in the society. It is an illuminating field that provides insight into people's lives and the matters on an intrapersonal level. The knowledge that a sociology student develops through his or her degree could be used in various fields of interest, such as international aid development worker, youth worker, social researcher, social worker, advice worker, community development worker, or an education lecturer. A list of places where a brilliant sociology student can use his or her degrees to the most are Human Resources Officer, Probation Officer, Public Relations Officer, Charity Fundraiser, Housing Manager or Officer. Employers in the Sociology department get themselves employed in the following areas of interest: education authorities, further and higher education, charitable, counseling and voluntary organizations, local and central government, industry, commerce, the NHS, civil service. The CV of a sociology student should look like and must cover areas such as knowledge and understanding of research methods, analysis and statistical techniques, developing opinions and new ideas on societal issues, relating sociological knowledge to social, public and civic policy, the ability to understand, scrutinize and reassess common perceptions of the social world, making reasoned arguments, appreciating the complexity and diversity of social situations, organizing work and meeting deadlines, working collaboratively, researching, judging, evaluating complex information, applying sociological theory to society's organizations including schools, hospitals and offices. A post-graduation degree in the mentioned subject allows the students to provide an insight into the career mentioned at a broader level. The areas in which a sociology student can attain his or her master's degree are social work, counseling, community education, teaching, law, information management. A list of universities that provide sociology as a subject to master in are St. Francis de Sales College, Arunachal Pradesh, Don Bosco College, Arunachal Pradesh, Northeast Frontier Technical University, Arunachal Pradesh, Himalayan University Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, Arunachal Pradesh. Log on to www.freshersworld.com to know everything about sociology as a career option. We will be back with more such videos, so stay connected with us and do not forget to hit the subscribe button.
So in Florida, you can go to the University of Florida, the University of Central Florida, Florida State University. They all have master's and doctoral level programs for sociology.
From freshersworld.com. Welcome to our video channel on jobs and careers. Today, I'll be talking about career opportunities in psychology. Psychology is a division of science that is concerned with human behavior and mental processes. It is a deep study of animal and human behavior, thought and mind. It deals with processes based on which human mind works. Psychologists are even required to study and research about various human emotions, reactions, motives, and feelings. Many individuals who are not able to secure normal emotional and mental balance require services of a psychologist. Psychologists may not possess a medical degree, but they are required to gain specialization in various subjects of psychology. In order to become a successful psychologist, it is vital for individuals to possess certain skills such as patience, ability to deal and understand patients with different state of mind, good and effective communication skills, good behavior and empathy towards problems of their patients. Besides these skills, students who aspire to become a psychologist can look forward to gain education in this field. This is because a lot of analytical thinking, research work, experimenting and testing is involved within this frame of career. Most of the reputed institutions offer psychology as a core subject. They offer a graduate, postgraduate as well as a PhD degree provision to students who wish to gain specialization in this field. At graduation level, psychology is a single subject that deals with various core subjects. But at post-graduation level, one has to select a subject of specialization from applied psychology, child psychology, educational psychology, clinical psychology, social psychology, and animal psychology. Once successfully completing education in this field, students can then look up to work as psychologists at various reputed hospitals, rehabilitation centers, development agencies, NGOs, mental assailment, child improving centers, and more. In order to become a reputed psychologist, it is mandatory for aspirants to gain education in this field from a reputed college. So some of the reputed institutes that offer degree courses in this field are Sardar Patel University in Gujarat, Kurukshetra University in Haryana, Mysore University, University of Delhi, Barkatullah Vishwavidyalaya in Bhopal, University of Kolkata, Jamia Millia Islamia in New Delhi, and international universities. All these universities offer a graduate course of 3 years, a postgraduate course of 2 years, and a PhD course of 2 years in this field. For some universities, it may also be required for a student to have a science background in order to go ahead with further studies of psychology as the main subject. Once the education is completed, successful graduates can then look up to secure a job in some reputed institutions. Some top-notch companies that hire psychologists are as follows: hospitals, rehabilitation centers, mental asylum, war hospitals, corporate organizations that want to enhance their customers' productivity, NGOs, personal rehabilitation centers or clinics, and teaching. Working as a professional psychologist can be very challenging, but in monetary terms, it's very lucrative. The initial salary of psychologists depends on the type of job that he has selected, but with experience, it may grow. Individuals can also open their personal clinics and aim to treat people with emotional imbalance. If students wish to avail more information about this career field, they can then log on to the website www.freshersworld.com. Thank you for watching. We'll be back with more such videos. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
Alright. So, again, in the state of Florida, I just mentioned that you can get your master's degree in counseling right here at BCU. You could also get a doctorate from Florida State University, University of Florida, University of Miami, University of Central Florida, University of North Florida. Okay? At Florida A&M, you can get a master's degree in counseling psychology as well. So, is the attendance going around? Make sure you sign that attendance before you leave. Okay? Next week, where do we meet? That's right. Okay, so make sure you have some questions. If I didn't get a chance to answer your question, you didn't get a chance to ask it, write it down, bring it next week. Alright, once you sign the attendance, you guys are free to go. That's pretty good for me.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Coordinate. Sometimes they don't work out the best.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Hold on one second.